Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Off to a good start this week. How are you doing, Austin?
Doing great, Andrew. How about yourself?
Doing well. Everything is great. Early start well, it's always an early start, but early start on the phone talking about ESG this morning. So brain is fired up. It was a good chat for an hour. But there's other things happening in the market. I'd like to talk about the ESG thing just for people to kind of get their heads wrapped around still in this investing in carbon and the opportunities out there. We've got a report coming out on that. But tell me some things out there, what's happening coming up this week. I know there's a lot of reports out, so just give us a heads up.
Yeah, an interesting kind of overview. Both the S&P and the NASDAQ are opening at all-time highs to start the week. Investors are obviously waiting for another Fed chair update from Fed Chair Powell to see kind of what the next steps are going to be if the Fed's going to start tapering. It's expected to be a very kind of short-term outlook for a Fed speech. You know, they usually kind of have a little bit of a broader focus. It's supposed to be a bit more near-term, so the market's gearing up for that to happen. It could be an interesting week in the market, depending on how that goes. A lot of movement and trading, I'm sure that we'll see, both with, your kind of bigger FANG stocks, but also trickling down the market as well. So it should make for some interesting news this week. I think there's a few companies that we like to follow closely that will hopefully be having some news this week as well. So exciting things to kind of stay tuned into and pay attention to, because there could be some nice movement and some good opportunities to get in on some cool stocks.
For sure. I mean, this is results for a lot of mining companies are trickling in and coming. Of course, those assays are being done, and there's not a lot of assay companies out there, and I'm sure they're behind still. So, people have to hang in there a little bit, but those are coming. And that starts to, kind of weed out the companies that are going to push forward and get a lot of attention to those that are going to have to reposition, remodel, and think of how to approach the project in a different way. And that kind of leads into this talk of ESG, because this is scary for some, exciting for others, inevitable probably, for facing business in the future. And it's major groups out there like Goldman Sachs and BlackRock Capital that are really leading the charge there with the concepts and the ideas behind this. And once again, there's a lot of really good in it, and there's lots of bad. There is lots of bad. I mean, but the overall major theme is good. I mean, it's a good plan. It's a good approach forward and way to envision the world, this kind of circular economy as we move forward. And it highlights some of these conversations that we had with J.B. Strauss over at Digby and his relationships with the G7 and with BlackRock Capital as well, in that the desire to want to acknowledge specifically mining and its role in this new energy sector is vital, but they need a mechanism, and it's more than just PR. I mean, those days of just putting a little PR out there doesn't work. It doesn't work for big pharma as much as they try. And it won't work for other people as well, because the sins of the past, and they're not that far long ago, are easy to find out. And there needs to be a major change in the way things are done and accountability. And that comes from an entire fundamental way that people running companies look at how they do business.
Yeah, it definitely does. And not only that, and then having, we've talked about it before, kind of a standardized implementation of it, a good grading system to say, these guys are doing it really well, and then smart money and retail money going and following the companies that have a higher rating, the companies that look like they're checking all the boxes on this front. And I think for anyone who sort of, feels like they care at all about those issues, then they can really start, channeling their money and their resources in to help companies that they feel are actually fulfilling those promises and coming through on that, especially on the environmental side, but also on the social side as well. We talk to a lot of companies that do business, be it in Central or South America, or even in Africa, in places like Namibia, where, making sure that they're benefiting the local population really matters. And you can tell it matters to these guys as well.
Yeah. And you know what? Even speaking with James Anderson over at Guanajuato Silver, it was called Van Gold. They did a name change. Mm-hmm. And we've got a video coming out soon, and having a conversation with him. there's a level of authenticity out of someone that comes into a country, changes the name of the company to reflect the city, and it's a historical mining town. I mean, there's so much talent and experience in that city alone that they've got 150 employees now, and this is a 50-cent stock that's going to be that's producing soon. This isn't just like when you hear of a near-term story where it could be like a year or 2 or 3 years away. This is near-term, like next month kind of thing. And for them to grow at the rate they have, and to literally and authentically come in and hire 150 people that are from that region, from Sonora and from Guanajuato, change the name to Guanajuato Silver. Even the mayor came in and was just taken aback, because it isn't, when someone tries to do something for a PR stunt and they come across poorly, and you can see them on TV on CNN and CNBC, some of these people that are very disingenuous, and they have all sorts of PR behind them. It's like, or like an actor, when you see them on and they're one way, and then you see them backstage or off camera and they're totally different. And that kind of ugliness is easy to see. And if someone comes in from a mining perspective and they naturally love what they're doing, and they've embraced this idea of, we're giving back to your town and city and your people as well. This is part of your story. It isn't just we're going in there and making money for shareholders. That goes a long way, and it isn't just a skill to be taught. It's literally something that they've taken in, and I think you're going to see a lot more of that. And we want to see a lot more of that, because it's in the company's best interest anyway, as we heard Jamie Strauss say from Digby, is that these people at G7, World Economic Forum, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, you name it, they don't not know the importance of mining towards this new energy shift and carbon plays and everything else. And listen, your opinion on it one way or the other, if it's that strong, then okay, stay out of the sector. Don't, that's fine. But there's a huge opportunity. It is happening. So you find the companies that can translate this message, can work within regulatory frameworks, and are honestly and authentically trying to do right, not only making shareholders money, but doing it in an efficient, ethical manner that can be lauded, rather than the stories you hear once in a while in the news that remind people, oh my God, why would I want to be involved in mining? So there's a shift that's happening. It's been happening for a while. And the mining sector is not great at their own PR, but I think they're getting better. And with the help of some of these new institutions and people like Jamie Strauss as well over at Digby, you're getting to see that this is beginning to happen, and it has to happen.
It has to, because it's so prevalent in society today, and it fits really nicely into something that we always talk about. It fits into, we talk a lot about the market model mindset. Well, ESG fits right into both the model and the mindset side of things, because you're looking for companies who are going to fit your own mindset and your own beliefs that, hey, we care about the environment, we care about being a socially responsible country, and we also care about having mining and critical metals to meet the needs of the future. And tying that all in together becomes really important, and you can build that into your own mindset, and then you use it as a sort of tool to say, okay, I can feel a little bit better about putting my money into a mining company that has a high grade of certification on the ESG front than you could necessarily maybe just throwing it at some big oil company like BP, who got an oil spill in the ocean every other year, it seems, at this point.
Yeah, I hate to pick on some, but they certainly had a rough string of just bad events happening, and that is never good, because it's not just that the event happens; it's how is it handled. Mm-hmm. And these are, PR classes. They'll teach people these crisis events that are just poorly handled, and part of that is because if you have to teach or train your or send a spokesperson in that's outside of the company to deal with something, you may not have the right person running your company, because if they don't have values in line with doing right by the region they're in, and make no mistake, like if you're at a huge multinational, that's I don't want the job. Like, I don't want to be in 14 different countries trying to think of all these different cultures and peoples and how they act and how to be sensitive to them. That to me isn't attractive. It's not something I want to do. But if that's the company you're going to work for, that's on the job table. That's got to be on the job table. You have to be able to dismantle this globalist idea of I'm going to march into all of these countries and tell them how to live.
Yeah.
No. That doesn't work. That only works by force, or coercion or threatening, sometimes money. But that isn't a good strategy moving forward. You get a lot more. Sorry. You get a lot more with honey.
Totally. Because you have to be okay with saying I'm comfortable not putting these people in this area, whatever area of the world it is. I'm not comfortable with putting their culture first and respecting their needs and their way of doing things. And you kind of can akin it to, going over to your buddy's house when you're 12 or 13 years old, and, his mom may have different rules and the way that they do things than your mom at home, but you're at their house, you're a guest, and you've got to respect their way of doing things because you value that friendship, that relationship. And it for harmonious kind of moving forward, it's important to respect and acknowledge that.
Absolutely. And if you don't, well, your children don't have firm beliefs in things, but if you don't respect them, you shouldn't be a friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So I wanted to kind of touch on that because we are coming into a lot of assay results coming soon. And there's going to be lots of excitement, and there's going to be lots of sadness, and there's going to be lots of hits, and there's going to be some more data is needed. But this time frame thing is important for people. Some areas are very cyclical. Like if you look up north in northern BC, right now, I haven't looked, but they could be having snow right now, next week, 2 weeks from now, and that matters. Some of these companies are very cyclical on how they trade and how they're played. So people are patiently waiting, either saying, I've already made some money on this stock already over the anticipation of what results might be, and then those saying, I'm not selling until I see the results. And that's the a thing to take into account too, right now, when you're looking at time frames of stocks that are coming. And once again, I throw the ESG thing there because it's inevitable. It's happening. These major funds want to be able to get involved in the sector, and it's in everyone's best interest to attract them because they come with marketing and with PR. They come with CNN. They come with CNBC. I mean, they've bought these channels. They are the media really at the end of the day. A lot of these funds, they'll put, if they get their message out, it's going out. And that's how a lot of things get done nowadays. I mean, it's amazing the amount of people that will buy a stock because Elon says it, or Shaquille O'Neal, or something else. And you think, wait, what have they got to do with what? These influencers and marketers and whatnot, they have a huge effect. So you need to have these guys with the money behind your story, behind the whole sector, because they know, they absolutely understand how energy is made and consumed and where we're going in the next 10, 20, 30 years. And this is what attracted me to mining, was that not only is it an area that can use a lot of improvement, it has a depth of talent that is extremely impressive, but needs a lot of work and needs a lot of massaging, but has a massive ability to grow at a rate that is startling. And once again, you need a lot of things to happen. But for someone who, especially Canadians and Australians who come from resource countries, it's kind of in our blood. We know it. We also know that the flip side of all the lifestyle companies, we have it in us to see, okay, you know what? We understand resources. We get it. This is a huge opportunity for retail investors to be able to change the trajectory of their lives. And that's the part that I like about this, is that whole model of how you view investing, how you view the companies themselves, and how they impact the world. It matters. And that's part of when we talk about our market model mindset, is that, and I've said it before, it's not hard to make money. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. It's very simple. The challenge becomes doing it within the mindset that you want. You don't want, most people don't want to harm people or cause environmental destruction or to sell guns or drugs. They don't. That's not on someone's wish list of how to make money. So it does matter, and it should be critical in your evaluation of things as how did I make the money? Because that'll probably impact your every moment of your day. Are you proud of what you've done just for the day and how you've made an impact for your own family, your own community, for your surroundings, and more people, especially young people, where we need them to be excited about this new shift in energy and in mining and everything else, is if they can see that there is a sector that's willing to change, that wants to change, and that has a huge growth opportunity. That works.
Well, and in some senses, not even necessarily change, just highlight what's already actually being done. Because the mining industry gets a bad rap for, some companies that don't do it right, but a lot of companies that really do have incredibly high standards that they're meeting and exceeding all the time. But even to take it back a step from that, for anyone who's kind of skeptical of like, oh, well, is this really going to happen? Is this really the push forward? You wouldn't have a group like the Digby being so closely aligned with BlackRock Capital and presenting at the G7 recently if it wasn't something that was going to be clearly a part of the path forward. So kind of harmonizing the mining sector, which, like I said, already does a lot of really good things, with kind of a standardized way of reporting and acknowledging the good things that are being done, is critical for going forward. And it's going to be, I think, a massive help in getting a large injection of cash into this specific market.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better. I mean, so I wanted to really touch on that because it makes a difference, and we're coming into fall. We know there's going to be a lot of things happening. There's a lot of uncertainty out there as well. I mean, there's lots of chaos. And having that structure of how you look at each day makes a big difference. And, it's something I have to remind myself every moment. And also, why am I doing this? If you're just doing something for your own selfish needs, or I just want to make money, or that's pretty toxic for most people. I don't know a lot of people that can do that for any period of time, having any kind of admirable life that other people kind of look and go, oh, wow, that's, other than movies, which is not real life, fictionalized stories. I would rather have the best version that I can have today moving forward in growth, taking action and doing the things correctly and in proper ways to build myself up today, rather than wait straight up somewhere down the road, make some money, and then initiate change.
No, you're absolutely right.
Good. Well, like I said, we're into the last week here, and I just wanted to have a bit of a shout out to people to remind people what we're looking forward to. We've got lots of interesting companies and interviews coming out that we're definitely excited about. So keep in tune. If you like these kind of talks too, let us know. Like, we've got lots of very specific CEOs and presidents that we like to talk about and have them tell their stories. But I like to have these kind of conversations too, because although they're a lot of people would say it's very soft kind of stuff, it is critical for me to be able to look at the bigger picture and put your time horizon much further. The people that do very well in investing, they've got very long time frames. And if you can find projects and management teams in sectors that are ignored, undervalued, beaten up, that's where huge potential is. There's no guarantees in life, but there's huge potential. And part of my job is to get people excited to see, is there a potential in this space? Can you see it all coming together? And those that are curious and those that look and go, yeah, you know what, maybe I'll look at BlackRock when they've put up, maybe I'll look at Davos and World Economic Forum. Maybe I'll look at some of these funds and see where they're placing capital. And look at a sector that's not as exciting. It's too easy to be excited about ARK investments and innovation and all these things. But you'll have to remind yourself that can't happen unless mining. It just can't. Yeah. It's that simple. It's the foundation. It's the building blocks. You can't have any of it. You can't have any of your virtual money, any of your coins. None of it happens unless you literally physically mine. And I think if we can grab the attention and the curiosity of young people, especially, for them to see it's not as ugly as say their teachers would tell them or the media tells them. It's required, it's critical, it's needed, and there's no end to the people that want to do it correctly.
Yes.
And that message needs to get out as much as any other.
Yeah, there's so many companies that are doing incredible things. I mean, we touched on a couple throughout this conversation, but I mean, go look at a lot of the companies that we even follow specifically, and there are so many groups doing great things that are really prioritizing the environmental side of things, the social responsibility, and trying to make everything work together in a kind of beautiful, harmonious way, and that's really exciting to see.
Excellent. Well, enjoy the rest of the day, everyone, and thank you all for being here. And we'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.